Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Kingdom Huffer Cybertron Golden Disk Collection, Autobots Puffer, and Road Ranger 2-pack. So as we always do, we will take a look at that packaging first. And let's bring it in and see what they've got to offer. So right there you have Kingdom Huffer Cybertron Golden Disk Collection, Autobot Puffer, Autobot Road Ranger, Transformers up the side, a little bit of a golden disc there in the corner. On the side, you have deluxe-class and the little Autobot symbol. On the back, you have your product shots. So you have Autobot Puffer, Autobot Road Ranger, and you have all your warnings down here. And you do have the sad baby, so always good to see him. Over here on the side, you have a whole lot of nothing. On the top, you have the Autobot Puffer and Road Ranger Golden Disk Collection, Transformers Huffer Cybertron. On the bottom, you have manufacturing information. So that is it for the packaging, so let's go ahead and crack that open and see what came inside that box. And here's everything that came inside that package. We'll start as we always do with a little sheet of instructions. And then you also get, of course, your instruction booklet. Now my instruction booklet has a little bit of damage on it. I think that was just when it was shoved inside the box during the packing process, so that's a bit of a bummer. Not the worst thing in the world, but I do have a little bit of damage up there in that corner. Also, curiously enough, I did not get a Golden Disk sticker, the collectible stickers that have come with some of the other Kingdom figures in the past. I'm not sure if they just weren't doing it for this run for these two guys, or if it was an oversight at the manufacturing facility. I'm not sure. It's not that big of a deal. I think I have duplicates of anything anyway, but just something worth noting. Now with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this and talk about the stuff we really care about. And we'll start over here on the left with Road Ranger. So we'll look at his accessories, and we'll start with his gun. Now this is the exact same gun that came with Huffer, just painted in a silver color, and it does split. So you have this little spot right there for your fingernail to get in there and split that, and it becomes the sides of the truck. But I think from an overall look standpoint, I like this gun more than Huffer's. Just that silver really makes it look really nice, and it's got enough molded detail in there to make it look really good. So yeah, I like this gun. All right, and then we'll move on to his shield, and this becomes the bed of the truck as well in his vehicle mode. Same thing here. I like this two-tone, this light silver and dark silver, almost gray here. I think that looks really good. And then just on the underside, it's just that black molded plastic. But yeah, this looks cool. Looks great as a shield. Looks great as a truck bed. All right, and then moving on over here to the right, we can take a look at Puffer's accessories. And what he came with are two guns that are exactly the same. So we'll just use one of these here. And they're just black molded plastic. Not a lot of detail, not much going on. But it is something to differentiate him from the Road Ranger and Huffer molds. Alright, so that is everything that came inside that box. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and we'll get into those details. And we will start with the bot on the left over here, Mr. Road Ranger himself. And here is Road Ranger, so we'll bring him in for his close-up and take a look at everything he has to offer. And we'll start up here with that head sculpt. And it's a nice head sculpt. It's pretty nondescript. There's not a whole lot going on here. So he's got that face mask action going on and those big red eyes. And then coming down here to the chest. Decent molded in detail. And this is kind of a cool paint app. I like the paint scheme that they used on this guy with the reds and the oranges. I think he looks pretty good. And then coming down here to the cod piece with that silver. I think that was a nice use of paint applications right there to break up the monotony of the oranges and the reds. And then coming down here to the legs. Some decent molded in detail. And then you have just the plastic molded gray toes right there, which of course become part of the vehicle. And then moving over here to the side, you've got those nice wheels and tires. I do have a little bit of, looks like maybe some underspray right there on the paint. So it looks like it didn't quite get full coverage there, but it's not that bad. And some molded in detail there. Making your way up. Even on the underside, they've got these areas right here to kind of help fill in that underarm, so you don't have too many hollow places on this guy. And then as far as the arms themselves, you have those big black fists. And then all this detail going up the side. You do have a couple of effects ports right there that you can utilize. And coming around to the back, just like Huffer. I mean, this is the Huffer mold. So just like the Huffer, you do have a truck cab hanging off the back, but that is true to his G1 roots. And then taking a look back here, not a lot to see. You do have hollow areas right here. Typically you're not going to see them anyway because most people don't see their figures from the back, so it's not that big of a deal. And considering that these are deluxe class, that price point, and everything else is a pretty good value, I think, overall on these guys. I think they look good. Now I want to try to get in here and show you. I hope that it's coming across on camera because there is a decent amount of detail in there, which I think is cool. They didn't have to do this, but they did. So it's nice to see a little bit of detail in there. So if you're going to have a hollow area, it's nice that it gets filled in. All right, so now we will use him for the articulation because the articulation between both figures is exactly the same. So let's go ahead and talk about that articulation now. So you may not call this articulation, but it helps get to the head anyway, so you can really help change this guy's overall look. If you want to bring that up and out of the way, bring it back, that kind of stuff. But I am going to bring it back right now so I can get to this head. So you get a little bit down, a little bit of up. Not really anything side to side on these guys, but then you can go all the way around with those heads. And then over here at the shoulders, you can go up that high and you can go all the way around, do a full 360. Just be aware of your truck cab. And then you do have just under 90 on your elbow bend, and then you have bicep rotation going all the way around. And then you do have the wrist tilt. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. You don't have any wrist rotation, but you can angle those wrists in a little bit. And then you do have waist rotation, so you can go all the way around on this guy if you choose to do so. And he'll do the splits about that far before he starts running into himself, and it's really just a matter of interference. The geometry of his upper thighs running into the upper part of his hips right there. So not the greatest splits in the world, but it's enough you can get him in some poses. And then he'll kick forward that far. He'll kick backward that far. So good range of motion as far as forward and back kicks. And then that knee bend, you can go just about as deep as you want to go because that's a transformation joint. So totally up to you on that. And then down here at the feet, you do get some ankle tilt. And then you do have the ability to angle these wherever you want. Now, they're not tight enough. It's not going to hold a position for you. But if you do have him in some kind of a funky position, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. It's risky. Let's see. But if you have him in a funky position like that and you wanted to, I don't know, for whatever reason, have his foot kicking up like that, you certainly could. It's totally up to you. All right, so that is it for the articulation on both of these figures. And what we'll do now is we'll get Road Ranger out of here. I'll spit it out, I swear. We'll get Road Ranger out of here. We'll bring Puffer in and we'll take a look at his details. All right, so here is Puffer, and we'll bring him in and take a look at his details. Just one thing I want to note real quick. Puffer and Road Ranger in this 2-pack, they are essentially the exact same mold as the Kingdom Huffer that we've seen, and also the upcoming Kingdom pipes. The one difference here is with Puffer, I guess just to make an extra bit of differentiation, everything works exactly the same on Puffer as it does on the other guys. The only difference is they have an additional joint back here for his truck cab to give this a rotation. So I'm trying to just clear all this out of the way. So normally you would see your Huffer and your Road Ranger looking like that, but Puffer has the ability to rotate that truck cab out of the way just to give him that little bit of a differentiation between himself and the others. So you can angle this whichever way you want. You can bring it down like that, or you could bring it up like this. Totally up to you. I think the default is having it like that, so we'll leave it like that for now. But we'll take a look at his details. And much like Road Ranger, he doesn't have a lot going on face-wise. He's just got that mask, and then he's got his one big Cylon-style eye going on right there. It's not the worst head sculpt in the world, though. And then coming down here to his chest, he's got a lot of white. And he's got some good molded in detail. Now, it is worth noting that these guys are different. So, you know, all this right here, this molded in detail is different between the two of them. So just as a quick point of comparison here, just pointing out that chest and that crotch area are molded differently. So they're not exact copies of each other, at least when it comes to that. So just wanted to make a note of that. And then coming down here to the legs, this is where you're going to see a lot of similarities other than the molded color. So just a little bit of detail going on inside. And then you have the molded in detail here. Coming over to the side, this is all going to look pretty similar. And then up underneath, kind of the same thing going on. And then the arms are exactly the same. Well, that's not true. The arms are not exactly the same. I'm going to back that up because the arms have differences as well. Let me bring Road Ranger in so you can see that there is a slight difference between those arms. So Road Ranger has these guys right there, and he's got a little bit of detail up here, whereas Puffer is nice and smooth in both of those areas. And then coming around here to the back, again, it's a Huffer truck cab, just inverted or rotated 180 degrees from what we're used to seeing. And then looking up under here, you get a little bit of detail, and you've got some detail going on in the butt. And then same thing back here, just that detail on the insides of those legs, which is nice to see. All right, articulation is exactly the same between these two guys, so I'm not going to go over articulation here. What we are going to do next is I will demonstrate on Mr. Puffer here the effects compatibility, because the effects compatibility between the two is exactly the same. So Mr. Puffer is going to be my model for the effects compatibility. So let's go ahead and get to that. All right, so here we have Puffer demonstrating the blast effect compatibility, and as you can see, he's got a good amount of it. So you can pretty much do whatever you want to do with this guy, and he does, much like the other Kingdom figures, he does have a 3mm port right under his butt here that you can use for the flight stand. This is the flight stand from my Studio Series Soundwave that works just fine for these guys. And yeah, I mean, if you wanted to do something like this, you can absolutely load this guy up, and you can see that, of course, his guns have the effects ports on the front and the back, the female and the male, and you can, with the Road Ranger weapons, you can do the same thing. So Road Ranger has all the same exact effect ports, and the Road Ranger weapons, or the gun that he comes with, does have the ability to fire blast effect as well, and so does his shield. So his shield can either fire the blast effect or it can receive a blast effect. So it does have two spots. You've got a spot right over here, or you have a spot right over here. So totally up to you, whatever you wanted to do there. So great blast effect compatibility between these two figures. Makes them a lot of fun. Really, really fun to just throw some blast effects on there and do a little bit of play with these guys. So, all right, so now that we've demonstrated that, what we'll do is we'll get into the transformation. We're only going to transform one of these guys, and it's going to be Mr. Puffer right here, just because his transformation has one step that's different than Road Ranger and Huffer, which involves this cab. So let's go ahead and jump into that transformation, and we'll get these guys into their truck modes. So let's go ahead and jump into that transformation with Mr. Puffer here. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to do with Puffer is a little different than what you would do with Huffer or Road Ranger, and that's just simply rotating this cab around 180 degrees on that joint. So pull that cab away so you have enough clearance, and then rotate that around 180 degrees so it's oriented like that. Once you have it like that, everything else is going to be exactly the same between the two. So you can just take this little head right there, rotate that head around 180 degrees. Take these arms and straighten them out right there. And then you're going to take this body and you're going to pull this body down and separate it from the back. So you should have something that looks like that. And once you do that, then you can take these shoulders, give them a little pull, and then you're going to bring this back on both sides. And once you do that, that's going to open these cavities up right here, and that's going to give you enough room to bring these wheels down. So what I like to do with these wheels, it's the same thing on all of them, Huffer, Road Ranger, or Puffer. Try to just keep your thumb or a finger nice and tight against this as you bring that down and rotate that around. You don't want to grab it by these edges because these are on just little mushroom pegs in there, and it's going to be real easy to pop these wheels off. So just use your thumb and get a little bit of pressure, and then you can lock those wheels just in the correct orientation, just like that. Now, once you've done that, you have these little slots right here that are going to correspond to these little tabs. So you're going to need to turn these arms. Now you're not going to lock anything in yet because you still have to bring the chest up. We're going to turn these arms 90 degrees so you've got those approximately lined up, just like that. And as you do that, you're going to bring the chest up. And when you do, you're going to need to give it just a little bit of clearance because it's going to want to start running into the legs. So as you're bringing this chest up, then you can turn these arms right there at those joints and then give that a push and lock that in. And then once you're at this point, now you can take these and give those a little push, and that'll orient those in the correct position. Now when you come up here, you're going to bring this cab back, but before you bring the cab back, you have these slots right here. You're going to want to rotate these arms. Now the way that I use to know I'm oriented correctly is you're going to rotate the arms right here, and you're going to rotate them enough that when you bring these fists down, the fists are going to sit just behind the cab, and they're going to be almost touching each other. So do the same thing over here, rotate this around, and then bring that fist down. So they're just like that, okay? And then give that a squeeze, make sure those are back in. Now, when you bring this cab forward, you've got tabs right here on either side of the cab that are going to correspond to those slots right there. So give this a push on this double hinge, bring that down. What I like to do is I like to hold on right here so my tabs don't come untabbed right here, and then give that a push, bring that cab down, and then I can give these a squeeze just in the right area. And now I know that I have everything oriented the way that I should, and it's really just a matter of cleaning these up and putting them at the angle where they look optimal. So something along those lines. And then you have the front completed. Now you can turn your attention down here to the bottom or to the legs. So it's really up to you, whichever way you want to do it. You can squeeze everything together now and then flip these up, or you could flip these up first and then squeeze everything together. It doesn't matter. Just make sure everything's squeezed together. Make sure that these little flaps are flipped up. Then you're going to rotate these legs 180 degrees. And when you do, you have these little tiny slots right there that are going to correspond to these little tiny tabs right there. And when you flip it over, he's going to line up. You're going to give those a squeeze and make sure that you have those in, and then you have the transformation complete. And the one thing that I will say is, just like with the Huffer mold, once you're complete on here, he kind of looks like he's doing this. So I can't say I'm the biggest fan of that. I constantly want to give this a pull, even though I know it's just an optical illusion. He is all set up and he's transformed the way that he should. So for Puffer, the finishing touches here would just be to take his two weapons and then plug them into these effects ports right here. And then you're all set. Now, as far as Road Ranger goes, as I said, these transformations are exactly the same until you get to just the cab area and then these last few steps. So with Road Ranger, just what you would do with Huffer, you're going to take the shield, which is going to become that truck bed, and you're going to line that up on those three holes, and then you're going to take this gun and you're going to split it. So take the gun, split it into two halves like that, and then on each side of the gun you have these large slots that are going to correspond to these large tabs right here. So then you're just going to line these up, give these a push on either side, and there you have Road Ranger and Puffer complete in their vehicle modes. All right, now that we have these guys in their alt modes, let's go ahead and take a look at those vehicle details, and we'll start on the left with Puffer over here. So we'll bring him in and take a look at that cab, and this is very much the Huffer cab that we've come to know and hopefully love. But he's got some good details there, all this molded in detail, and he does have those paint apps on the mirrors and windshield wipers, grille, bumper, etc. So overall, I think it looks good. I will have to say I'm not the biggest fan of this big hollow area that you can see all the way through. But, you know, I mean, he's a deluxe class, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. I think still, for the most part, it's a strong design. And he does have nice looking wheels. Of course, we saw those smokestacks when they were his arms in vehicle mode. And the one nice thing about this figure is he does have tail lights. So, how cool. It's nice to see the extra effort put in for some tail light paint apps. Now, He kind of falls apart back here the rest of the way. You can start seeing some transformation joint there, but I think for the most part he doesn't look too bad. And yeah, there he is from the top, and there he is from the bottom. Oops, his head got a little crooked on me. There we go. Alright, so that's Puffer. Let's take a look at Road Ranger. And Road Ranger is very much the black and red and silver Huffer. So no real differences if you have the Huffer figure already, other than just that molding and paint color. And I do very much like the red translucent on those windows. It gives him a bit of a Nemesis Huffer kind of look. So I like that. And he does have good decked out silver there, and even those headlights they're not quite black, they're just a dark gray. So good paint applications on those as well. And again, taking a look at him from the side, good looking wheels. We already saw these in robot mode, and then he has those gun halves, which look way better on Road Ranger than they do on Huffer. And in particular, in the truck bed, I think the truck bed just looks fantastic. Between the shield and those guns, I think that truck bed came out looking really cool. No tail light. Well, nope, I take it back. He does have tail lights. They were just dark, and I've never noticed them. I've discovered them just now with you. So he does have decked out tail lights as well, which is nice. And I do think that this shield helps to minimize the look of this hollow transformation area right there. And with those black fists and the black cab, it makes it a lot more difficult to see that those are just fists folded over. So good job with the color scheme on this guy. So there he is from the top. And there he is from the bottom. All right. So what we'll do now is we will take a quick look at effects compatibility in their vehicle modes, and then we'll move on from there. Alright, so here we see a good example of all the effects compatibility that Puffer and Road Ranger have in their vehicle modes. And yeah, you can pretty much do whatever your imagination can think up with these guys. I mean, they've got plenty of effects ports that you can use, and Puffer's guns are absolutely perfect for rockets. I mean, tell me they weren't designed to be rockets in vehicle mode. They absolutely were. So yeah, all kinds of fun you could have with the effects compatibility with these guys. So I figured I would do this up and let you guys see all the fun that you could potentially have with these two figures. It's also worth noting that both of these guys, much like the Kingdom Huffer, are completely and 100% compatible with the Leader Class Earthrise or Kingdom Optimus Prime trailer. So it's just a matter of finding that peg and finding a port, plugging it in, and there you go. You have Puffer hauling the trailer, or you have a Road Ranger hauling the trailer. Totally your choice. But yeah, full compatibility there, so have fun. All right, little dudes, it's time for some alt mode comparisons, so let's get this started. All right, for our first alt mode comparison, here we have Road Ranger and Puffer next to my G1 pipes. So Puffer is not a redo of pipes. There is another mold in this line of molds that's coming out. Actually might be out now at the time of this recording of the pipes figure. So Puffer looks a lot like this guy, but it's not a direct read across. For our next comparison, here we see Road Ranger and Puffer next to the Kingdom Huffer. So these three guys all share the same engineering, same transformation. The only difference really is on Puffer, just the ability to rotate that cab 180 degrees. For our next comparison, here we see them next to the War for Cybertron Red Alert. For our next comparison, here we see Road Ranger and Puffer next to the Earthrise War for Cybertron Trailbreaker. And for our final comparison, here we see them next to the Leader Class Earthrise and or Kingdom Optimus Prime. Alright, that'll do it for the alt mode comparison, so let's go ahead and get these guys transformed back into their bot modes. So, Mr. Road Ranger has volunteered to be my assistant for the transformation back to bot mode. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, much like with Huffer, the first thing that you need to do with Road Ranger is you need to take the gun and the shield off. So just give those a pry and pull this off and just set those off to the side. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is take these legs, just grab them right here and give them a pull, and then you're going to move them 180 degrees back like that, and then you're going to give them a split, and then you're going to fold these pieces down and under, and just like that you have legs. Alright, now turning your attention to this cab, first thing that I do is I take those fists and I flip those fists out, and then I'm going to take these arms and I'm just going to give them a little bit of a gentle pull just so I can disconnect this tab and slot system right there. And then I just give them that disconnect on that elbow right there just to get them out of the way. And that gives me the ability to take this cab and lift this cab up and out of the way from everything else. So then this is where you get into that delicate balance of, as you bring these down, you move these arms out of the way. So give these a pull so they're disconnected from those tabs down there, and take the body and start pulling the body down. And as you pull the body down, this is where you're going to need to maneuver these arms just to keep them out of your way. And you're going to bring that body down enough that you can access this cavity right there for the wheels. And then you're going to take those wheels, you're going to put your thumbs right there, and then you're going to lift those wheels up just like that. That way you can tuck them away inside the body. While I've got him in this position, I'm going to take this head and I'm going to rotate it around 180 degrees. Then I'm going to take these shoulders, I'm going to bring those shoulder pieces up, give them a push until they latch into place. And then now I can bring this entire body back up, and back here you're just going to give this a squeeze until you get that snap into place back there. And then you're going to maneuver these arms back into their proper orientation, and then put this cab wherever you want to put it. I like to bring it down and put it something like that, but it's really up to you. And with that, we have transformation complete. So there is Road Ranger back in his bot mode. Now the last two things that you can do, of course, take his shield and you can put his shield on. I like to think that Road Ranger is left-handed. Since I like to think that Huffer is right-handed, it helps me with thinking those guys aren't exactly the same. And then you take those two gun pieces and you line them up, give them a squeeze, and then you have his gun, and then you plug his gun in, and there you have him, rip-roaring, ready to go. Alright, so now that the transformation is complete, let's go ahead and get into those bot comparisons. Alright, so for our first bot mode comparison, here we see Puffer and Road Ranger next to G1 Pipes. Next comparison is Kingdom Huffer, and yeah, I've got to say it, these three guys look really good together. It also really helps if I think of them kind of along the lines of Seekers. So essentially they are all the same thing, but they each have their own unique personalities, their own distinctive looks, and yeah, they look like a cool team, so I like these guys. And for our next comparison, here we see Puffer and Road Rage next to the War for Cybertron Siege Hound. Here they are next to the War for Cybertron Earthrise Sunstreaker. And for our final bot mode comparison, here they are next to the War for Cybertron Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. Alright, that's it for the bot mode comparison, so let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the Transformers War for Cybertron Golden Disk Collection Autobots, Puffer, and Road Ranger 2-pack. So in short, I like the design, I like the engineering of this figure, I liked it in the Kingdom Huffer, and I like it in these guys. However, these guys straight up are clones. They are just duplicates of Huffer, so it's really going to be up to you if you want to add more Huffer to your collection. Alright, so with that, let's go ahead and quantify these guys and try to put some numbers to this. So we'll start as we always do with the aesthetics. The overall looks of these guys, especially in their bot mode, just like Huffer, they look great. They have a great shelf presence, and because of the color and the paint schemes, shaking it up, Both of these figures, they look unique even though they share the same design, and even compared to Huffer, who shares that design with them, all three of these guys, even if you put them all side by side, they look really cool. So it's kind of a seeker situation here where, because of the paint and because of the molded plastic colors and a few minor details here and there, they're different enough that they look really good on the shelf next to each other. I will say I do like the bot mode way more than the alt mode on this design, but they pull it off in the vehicle mode as well. All right, so as far as aesthetics go, like I said, I think they look good, but I am going to take a point away just simply for the fact that they're a clone. There's nothing new or original here. So for aesthetics, I'm giving these guys an 8 out of a possible 10 points. And now moving to articulation, for the most part, this figure, this design will do what you want it to do. It has good articulation everywhere, so you can get him in some pretty nice dynamic poses. I will say just a couple of small points. He does have limited splits, or they do have limited splits, so you're not going to be able to get a full Van Damme on them. But you can get them in some nice dynamic poses. Again, going down the road, the fact that these guys are clones, this is just a reissue of that Huffer design. It would have been nice if they could have had some improvements on there, if they could have added wrist rotation and some functional heels that could have actually supported the weight of the figures. So overall for articulation, I'm going to give these guys an 8 out of 10. Now, moving on to accessories. Kind of a broken record here because of the fact that these guys are clones. They are a reissue of Huffer, just in different colors. It would have been nice if we could have gotten some different accessories or something a little bit better than what we had originally. Road Ranger has the exact same accessories that Huffer came with, although Road Rangers look way better. The paint apps on the shield and the gun look way better on Road Ranger than what we got with Huffer. So I will say that'll give it a positive there. However, for Puffer, the guns that he comes with are weak. They're just black molded plastic. They're bland. They're lame. There's just not a lot of good stuff to them. They're really disappointing. It would have been nice in these reissues or these clones, these duplicates, if Hasbro would include some blast effects. I mean, that would have at least livened it up. I think we could all use more blast effects, so I think that would have gone a long way as well. So I'm hitting these guys kind of hard on accessories, just simply for the fact that they're clones. I'm giving them a 7 out of 10 on the accessories here. Now, moving on to quality, I have no problems with these guys out of the box. The joints are tight. They came with everything they were supposed to come with. I don't have any molding defects. The only thing that I could really say is I have a little bit of an underspray issue with one of the wheels on Road Ranger, which is just a very slight paint defect. So overall, not that big of a deal. My biggest complaint really is going to be the fact that whoever put these guys in their boxes, they just took that sheet of warnings and the instructions sheet and they shoved it in there without a care in the world, and my instruction sheet is ripped and it's crumpled. So with that being said, I'm going to give overall quality here a 9 out of 10. No issues with the figures, just kind of upset about the instruction sheet. Now, moving on to our last point, overall value. Here's where I'm going to say it again. These guys are clones. They're reissues. This is Huffer all over again, just in different colors with different paint. So it makes it a little difficult the second and third time around paying for a deluxe class figure of something that you already have. So this 2-pack I bought on Amazon for $40 US. So that's $20 each for the 2 deluxe class figures, which in the grand scheme of things really isn't all that bad, but they are the exact same thing as Huffer. So it's really going to come down to, you got to ask yourself, do you need more Huffer in your life? And if the answer is yes, then by all means get this 2-pack. If the answer is, I already have enough Huffer in my life, then you can skip these guys and you don't have to feel bad about it. So really, it's going to come down to your feelings on this design and this mold. So with that being said, I'm going to give overall value here a 7 out of 10. I just don't know if there's a lot here with them being clones. So that brings the 2-pack here out of a possible 50 points. That puts the 2-pack at 39 points out of 50, which is an overall 78%. So I'm going to give this a soft recommendation with the caveat that if you don't have Huffer, and you have the ability to pick this 2-pack up, by all means do so, because I think this is a fun design. If you do have Huffer and you want more Huffer, then pick these guys up. But if you already have Huffer and you're not too excited about these figures, you can skip them. So with that being said, that's going to end the review. I really hope that this was informative. I hope that you got some good information out of it and helps you make a purchasing decision. And if nothing else, I hope you were entertained by it and you enjoy what content that we bring on this channel. So with all that being said, if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button, be sure to subscribe, and leave us some comments. Let me know what you think about these figures. Like I say, I like this design. I like this mold. I just don't know how much more Huffer I'm going to need in my life. So with that, guys, that's going to be the end of it. Until we see you guys in the next review, take care.